Tyrone Bost is a retired military officer from the United States Army Reserve and is currently a small business owner in Maryland. He served 3 deployments overseas to help protect and rebuild other countries with U.S. taxpayer dollars, only to come back and find his community here at home in need of rebuilding. In response to this need, he convened a meeting of black field-grade officers and concerned black professionals at his home in order to strategize ways to save the future for urban black youth. As a result, the following presentation was produced. Lieutenant Colonel Bost understands that good field-grade officers have the unique ability to look at the facts divorced from emotion, verify them, and come up with remedies to situations that the average citizen would find insurmountable. It is his hope that other black field-grade officers and accomplished African Americans will examine the facts with him, verify the facts, and join him to work to achieve the only workable solution to this dilemma.
The purpose of this briefing is we're going to try to see what we can do to stop the oppression of mass incarceration as a final solution for black people. Okay? Now, according to Chomsky, who's a social intellectual, Chomsky, he's a noted historian and he's also a social intellectual. He refers to the war on drugs as social cleansing. Okay. Now, a lot of people say, well, if you don't do the crime, you ain't got to worry about it. You're not going to go to jail if you don't do the crime, right? Right? And you ain't got to worry about it. So what we're going to do, is Charles still there?
I'm here.
Okay, sir. What's your occupation?
I work for the FDA, actually.
Okay. How old are you, sir?
I'm 42.
All right, sir. Tell us about what happened to you when you were shot by the police.
Basically, I was taking my daughter to see a kid movie. I was going the speed limit. The officer pulled me over and he said, Maryland has a law that they can run your tags for any reason. So he runs my tags and he says, well, I ran your tags and nothing's coming back.
Were you, Charles, stop. Were you committing any crimes when this happened?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I said, in the state of Maryland, the law is they can run your tag.
Okay, go ahead.
Just randomly if they want. They don't have to have probable cause. They can just run your tag in the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So when he pulled me over, he's like, well, I pulled you over because when I ran your tag came back, nothing. It was nothing in the system. So then he asked me for my license and registration. I was saying, well, if nothing came back in your system with my tag number, then why are you stopping me? So I proceeded, because I know I studied the law. So I said, well, I'm not going to give you my license and registration because I haven't done anything wrong. I said, you can run the VIN and check it again. So, we proceeded back and forth with our exchanges about who's the law. So at the end of it, I said, well, hey, you committed a felony by pulling me over. So when I stated that to him,
but hold on, Charles.
Charles, through my window,
Charles,
he pulled me out the car and he beat me down.
Charles, before you go on,
yeah,
should you argue with the police about this? Police officer.
Say again?
Should you argue with a police officer about this stuff, as far as your right?
Yeah, I was just right. I didn't think anything about racism or
right.
It was straight law. And when I told him about he committed a felony, that's when they started beating me up.
Okay. That's what happens when you argue with a police officer about your rights. Okay, finish the story, Charles.
Yeah, I couldn't hear what he said.
He said,
say
that again.
Had me on the ground. I didn't resist because my daughter, she's 5. I didn't want to get shot or tased. So I went to they took me to the precinct. They put charges on me saying that I assaulted them physically.
Right.
They said that I assaulted them.
Charles, why did they start beating you? Why did they start beating you?
Because I told him my statement to him about the law, about the federal law.
Okay, that's why I said you're arguing for it. You tried to case in court.
Just that one simple statement. I said, hey, you committed a felony, and they just started going off on me, hitting me and everything.
I didn't say you were right and wrong about arguing.
Nothing else. I was in my seatbelt when they commenced to actually hitting me. I never got out the car. I never raised my hand. Nothing.
Did you have a criminal record at that time, sir?
No criminal record at that time.
So we all know.
I mean, I had tickets. To be honest, I had tickets at that time. I didn't have any criminal record.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Finish the story. Tell us about what they did to you after they beat you up.
All right. So I didn't know what the charges were until I got to the precinct. They said that I had assault 2 officers. And since I was quoting the law, they actually brought in a special investigator to come talk to me because he said anytime somebody quotes the law, they have to come investigate it because they have this so-called foreign citizen group, which I'm not a part of, but they came in and investigated me, and what they end up doing is they let me go without bond or anything, they just let me out, but they still have the charges on me as far as
assault on police officers. Okay,
I went to court and I beat that case, and what they gave me was, they gave me resisting, and they dropped all the charges as far as the assault on 2 officers.
Okay, look, this is what happens when the police beat you up. Once they beat you up, they got to charge you with assault. So even if you hit them back, they got to charge you with assault to bring you in like that. Okay? That's how you got to understand this. Okay? Now, I have Mr. Charles explain this to everybody that may be listening, to let you know that you don't have to be involved in no damn crime to get caught up in this stuff. That's why it's serious business. You or your child or your son. This can happen to anybody. It can happen to me. I can go out here and start arguing with the police about my rights. Yeah, he did the right thing by telling him about his rights, but at the same time, they ain't even trying to hear it. They not trying to hear from an N-word. Okay?
Right.
So, and that was the bottom line of that whole thing.
If you're educated, you're dangerous. You're more dangerous than somebody in the hood with a gun. If you're educated about the law, you're the most dangerous person if you have knowledge of yourself and then the law, how they work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why they use the law to take that power from you. Okay?
Right.
Laws are exactly. It can be used. The law is a tool. It can be used for good or for evil. Okay. And a lot of cases, unfortunately, it's being used for evil. You can finish your story about how you got out of this, or if you're still in litigation. But that's
it's over now. They dropped all the charges. If I pled to resisting, the only reason why I pled to resisting was one, I couldn't afford a lawyer. Secondly, the public pretender that I had, I already knew that if I went to trial, if I would have been with him, he probably would have gave me the assault on 2 officers. So they gave me a weekend in jail. I had to plead to just a resisting charge. They dropped everything else. But when I say I did not want to take that deal, my wife was like, listen, if you don't take it and the world doesn't present you right, you're going to go to jail for assault on 2 officers that you can commit. So I have to go ahead. So right now on my record, I have a resisting charge. But if you look at my whole documentation as far as the discovery of what the officer said and what happened, it clearly shows I never resisted. It shows that they pulled me out the car and beat me down. I mean, in his own words.
And
it shows I didn't do anything that warned me getting beat up. But he didn't say one time I threw a punch at him. They didn't say that I was throwing my arms up in the air and that's why they beat me down. Like, how can I throw my arms up in the air if I'm in my car? You pulled me out of my vehicle and beat me down in front of my dog.
Right.
So, I mean, they just have charged you, which is crazy.
Okay, Charles. What we're gonna do now? Thank you for that contribution. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna play what my barber had to say about, and that's what he had with police trying to plant drugs on. All right. Tell me about the story about the police pulling you up about some yellow tops.
Yes. I was down on walking down the street, and the police pulled me over. I gave a guy a cigarette, and the police pulled me over and said, "What did you give that guy?" I said, "I gave him a cigarette." He said, "Bullshit." So his partner went to the trunk, opened up his trunk, and asked his other partner, what tops do they sell around here? And he said, "These are yellow. This is the yellow top area." So he pulled out 2 yellow tops and said, "Well, where did these come from?" I said, "Those aren't mine." And the officer replied, "They're yours today." And then they took me to jail.
How did you get out?
The only reason why I got out of jail is because when the commissioner seen my name, see the police officer's name on the statement, they knew that the officers were already under investigation, so they let me out of all the problems. And then when I went to court, the public defender called my name and said, "You're released. Go ahead, just go home."
What were they under investigation for?
They were under investigation, man, for just those type of things, man. Planting drugs, guns, putting all these different things on a young black man in the inner city.
Thank you very much. Okay, so you played one with a good kid.
All right, I say before it started getting warm, one of my friends was walking up to the carryout. As he's walking up to the carryout, somebody called him back. to talk to him or whatever. And when instead of him walking back, he was basically where he was walking at was in basically like at an intersection of an alley and the street.
Okay.
So instead
You got
of
a criminal record?
Say it again.
Do he have a criminal record?
No, he doesn't have a criminal record at all.
Okay,
At all. So when he was walking, the knockers came up the street and made the left because they seen him standing by the alley. He get to walking because he seen him, knowing what type of area that we live in. He get to walking off, but they thinking that he probably came out of the alley. Mm-hmm. They get to messing with him or whatever. Mind you, he ain't no drugs or record or on his record. He has no record. He get locked up for some drugs they found in the alley. Now because of that whole situation, he lost his job. He was working with
oh my God.
He was working with somewhere, I don't know exactly what he was doing, but he was doing some type of job in Virginia. And you can't have a record doing that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, they was trying to offer him probation and all that. You get what I'm saying? But it's the fact of if you know the system and not knowing the system. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Because did he take probation?
No, I told him don't take anything.
Right, because that's a guilty plea.
Yeah, because he didn't have no record. So it's basically on how can out of you 27 years old and you ain't never had a drug charge, now all of a sudden you in a so-called drug area and they find something in the alley, now they gonna say that it's yours. You have no history of it, so they can't just say that you sell drugs. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you, man. Now, what I'm trying to do is debunk one of the biggest myths out there. You do not have to be involved in any crimes to be caught up in this crap. Neither you nor your child. This war on drugs is giving them an excuse to stop us. You know, he might have been, I suspect him maybe transporting narcotics or, you know, things of that nature. And it's made our neighborhoods a police state. So, and a lot of the arrests that they're making, it doesn't really stop the murder rate. Yeah, because we as black people say, oh, we all these murders, you know, we got to stop the murders. They're not concentrating on the murders. They concentrate on what's called low-hanging fruit. And they see a brother on the corner selling dope, and I'm not justifying it. I think it's wrong. Sell dope, I really do. I'm against drugs. But the cure is 900 times worse than the disease. When you want to fill our neighborhoods with enough police to make it a police state and you're arresting innocent kids. Okay, that sounds right. Okay, so let's go to the next screen. Okay, so I would say we need to end the war on drugs. The war on drugs was racist to its creation, has always been racist in its enforcement. Okay, from the day it was created by Richard Nixon, according to his aide Ehrlichman, everybody knows the Ehrlichman quote, right? That they want to use the drug war to bring damage to the black community. You just Google it. I'm not going to sit there and try to quote John Ehrlichman verbatim, but he actually admitted to them planning that to actually bring damage to the black community and impugn their leaders, bring up their meetings and things of that nature. That was directly meant to hurt black people. That's what it's doing. I mean, all you gotta do is, even if he didn't say that, common sense would tell you that that's what that's doing, right? So you don't need John Ehrlichman to tell you that Nixon planned a drug war because of that. And it's a major tool used for mass incarceration. Okay, the gentleman that was telling me about the good kid that got busted for drugs, they plant drugs on. Just a lot of that happens in our neighborhoods, by the way, whether you're a good kid or bad kid. Evidence is still planted on people in our neighborhoods more frequently than we would think. As a matter of fact, there's a police officer arrested in Baltimore years ago for planting drugs. They put marked drugs in a park, and he walked up and picked the marked drugs up and planted on somebody. That's the only way they caught him. Because the drug dealers were complaining about him. He was like, look, I sell drugs, but I wasn't selling that day when they popped it. You know, so he actually got caught that because it's a numbers game. That's what you got to understand. These city, and this is the same way in every major city because of the war on drugs. The phone works everywhere. These cities are being paid by the federal government based on the amount of arrests they make. It's real easy. It's hard to solve murder, but it's real easy to roll up on somebody and plant drugs on. You know, you get your stats, you get your promotion in the police department, and this is an N-word. They don't mind going to jail. You know,
something small like weed.
Yeah, something like weed. Yeah, you done got your stats up. Now your commander's happy because you're arresting people. But it's not solving the crime rate, you know, and I'll explain that in a minute why it doesn't work. Mass incarceration does not work. Otherwise, crime would have gone down, all right? The war on drugs does not work. Otherwise, there'll be less drugs, would it? But there's more drugs now than there was before the war on drugs, and more crime and more murder and everything else. So it definitely doesn't work. Okay, and you can't stop anybody. I can buy drugs any hour of the night, any day of the week, any month of the year. I can buy drugs. You know what I'm saying? It's just readily available, you know. So it's not gonna stop one person. If they want to get some drugs, if they want to get drugs, you're not gonna stop one person. The war drugs is not gonna stop that, okay? So basically the only thing it's doing is arresting black people. Because black people and people of color are primary targets. They don't go out and roll apart lining up white people with drugs or Fells Point. A lot of white people. If you want to arrest some people, all you got to do is go down to Fells Point on Friday night and watch those white people roll out of the bar, half drunk. And I'm not racist. This is not about race. This is about fairness. Watch them roll out of that bar drunk, get in the car without a seatbelt and drive off, drunk out of their mind. And you arrest people all night if that's what you want to do. But the purpose, the war on drugs is being used for the purpose it was created for. It's still being used for that purpose. It's bring damage to the black community, either by accident or on purpose. The people that are executing the war on drugs may not even know what is going on. And black cops are just as bad as white cops. You know, so it's not it's not a black-white thing. It's a fundamental issue of fairness and the equal protections under the law clause of the 14th Amendment, which we're not enjoying at this point. So if war on drugs has been an abysmal failure, it doesn't help black people, but we're convinced in our minds that it has helped us. And the church, the black church where our power resides, will not stop us. They won't stop it because they're against drugs. And their mentality is that and I'm not knocking the black church, but they can't handle this issue. They're not going to touch it. I'm telling you. No help is coming from the black church. No, the reverend's going to say in the war on drugs, they're not going to do it because they've been brainwashed too much to believe. You know, and I'm not saying anything about religion. Christianity is a good thing. But I'm telling you, and the Muslims aren't either. The Muslims aren't going to stop it either. Because in their mind, the drugs are so bad, yeah, you got to do something. You got to fight it. The way they're fighting it is ineffective. It's not going to work. It's not going to ever work. It's just going to keep locking us up. Okay? So a lot of times when they lock us up or stop us in a car or something like that, they want to be able to search your car. They want to get in your car. That's what Michael Wood, that cop that started telling about the practices of the police department. He said, main thing they want to do is get into your car so they can search to see if they can find drugs or something like that. That's probably what they was doing with that young man. They wanted to take him to jail so they can get into his car, see if they thinking they're going to find some narcotics or something, and something to charge him with. But luckily for him, they didn't find anything. And I didn't think they would, because the man that ain't been committing no crime. He's not a criminal. They made him a criminal. Okay? It's a social economic disaster for black people because it's keeping us in poverty. Generation after generation of poverty based on this thing, and there's no treatment on demand. You got people that are, this one that the guy that I was talking to, he said him and his brother left in the house for 2 weeks because the mother went out to get drugs and she disappeared. They were in the house for 2 weeks, no food. So he said that's why he started selling drugs. He had to step up. It wasn't because he was evil. He just wanted to step up. He was trying to do a good thing, but in a bad way. So he started selling dope so he could feed his brothers and sisters. And that's what's going on in our communities. Generation to generation on poverty. Now he has a criminal record, he can't get a job. He asked me what it would take to be an HVAC technician. He told me that he had gone to Tufts College. And they told him that we can teach you the trade, but you're not going to be able to get a job when you graduate. I'm talking about plumbing or HVAC, stuff like that. And because I was saying, yeah, eventually you start your own business if you had those certifications. That's what I did. So he said that he went to Tufts College and they told him, yeah, we can teach you the trade, but you won't be able to get a job because you got a criminal record. All right. So this man's trying to clean himself up. And I said, my black middle class friends tell me that people can get a job if they got a felony. And he said, yeah, but they're not jobs you can support a family with. They're not the type of jobs that people want. So he said, I'm trying to clean myself up and I'm trying to, do everything. He said, I got caught up in an indictment. I said, for what? And he said, well, people in the neighborhood, some drug gang, whatever, got reeled in. And then, the way the police get you is they start get people to name names. What I want people to understand is that you don't even have to have committed a crime. All they have to do is get people who are caught up in an indictment to name your name. That's what they do. They make deals for them to name names so that they can bring other people into the indictment, thereby arresting other people. So the only time a criminal, the word of a felon, is taken for gold is if he's saying something that leads to the incarceration of another person. Otherwise, his word means nothing. So it's even hard to turn your life around, you know what I'm saying? Because of all the impediments in your way as far as criminal records and, these BS indictments where they try to get as many people as they can. You're a drug gang. If you're in the house with somebody in your house selling drugs, you're a drug gang. You might lose your house behind that. Your car, anything. Okay. Let's go to next week. Okay, you guys can read. Okay, things like burglaries, robberies, and car break-ins, they usually go unsolved. And they usually defeat a drug habit anyway, because you can't get treatment on demand. People think you can, but you can't. You can't. If I really need to get heroin, ain't no way I can go to get, right now, without burglarizing somebody's house or breaking into their car, trying to get my money, whatever little bit of money I need to get that next hit. So that's why this stuff goes on. And they're so busy locking up people standing on the corner selling it dope, they ain't got time to deal with the stuff that, rapes and stuff that are really, murders that are really, that we want solved. So in our psychology, we're saying, yeah, we gotta do something about this. So when Martin O'Malley arrested those 100,000 and 108,000, 447 people in Baltimore that year, we begged for that. All the ministers and everybody went down there and begged him to do something about the crime rate. And the murder rate went up. But when he left office, the murder rate was higher than when he came in. So that was very ineffective because they had zero tolerance. They were locking up people for drinking beer in their backyards and stuff like that, and failure to obey, stupid stuff like and argue with the police about being harassed. When they should have been in their face in the first place.
Also, we are in deep denial about the fact that a lot of the prostitution we see in the inner cities is linked to drug prohibition, and that most of the murders committed in the black community is linked to drug prohibition in the same way that murders were linked to alcohol prohibition during alcohol prohibition when alcohol was illegal in this country. When we start to understand this, we will understand that drug prohibition and mass incarceration will never make us safe. It will simply make us more unsafe.
Drug abuse is a medical problem, and I think you made a very good point. That's like a fat person for eating a donut. You're not gonna solve that problem that way. You know what I'm saying? You lock me up for eating a donut. It's not gonna stop me from liking food. You know what I'm saying? When I get there, I'll eat.
Or saying cancer's bad, so let's declare war on cancer. So if you got cancer symptoms, the way we're going to get rid of cancer is we're going to put you in jail. System in jail.
Yeah, exactly. That's how much sense that makes. Mm-hmm. So what you're telling me is, if I eat a donut, I'm fat. If I eat a donut, you gonna lock me up, right? Well, when I go to jail, I'm still gonna eat, and then you know what? In jail, they still get drugs. They get guns too in jail. People, they got guns and stuff in jail. When they do raids in jail, they got guns and drugs in there. So it doesn't even work in jail. Okay, and targeting blacks will never solve that problem because more whites sell drugs than blacks. They did a study where they showed. I'm sorry, sir. What you saying, Charles?
I'm saying I'm agreeing. I'm saying right.
Yeah, they did a study, and you look this up. All you gotta do is Google it. The white people use more drugs than blacks. Just Google that. A study was conducted that showed that 6.6% of white adolescents ages 12 to 25 admitted to selling drugs, while the same study revealed that only 5% of black adolescents 12 to 25 admitted to selling drugs. Now, in our mind, a drug dealer is a black person, right? Okay, because with pants sagging on corner. White people sell drugs differently from us. They sell drugs inside. We sell drugs outside. That's why we get caught. That's why it's so easy to catch us. Okay? So that's the myth. Is that we sell more drugs. And then this
emergency visits also.
Huh?
More white people show up for emergency visits because of drugs than
right.
There's all kinds of statistics.
There's all kinds of statistics for it. More white people show up for emergency visits than black people based on drugs. There's so many statistics to support that. And the biggest one is that more white people in the damn country than black people. Okay, we only what, 13% of the population? They're like 63% of the population, and then you have others. So a lot of this doesn't even make any sense. So some states, 90% of the people locked up are black people for drugs, and they're almost all white states. So how you figure that out? You know white people just smoke crystal meth and everything else, so we don't even fool with LSD. And it's not about, again, I'm not racist or hate white people or anything like that. It's just about, the fact that I'm just trying to prove a point. We're being targeted. This is not a joke, and it's very serious, very serious. Let's go to the next screen. Okay.
Great.
All right. As everybody knows, having a criminal record, except some people, well, actually they did a study where they showed that a white person with a criminal record is more likely to get a job than a college-educated black person without one. Okay, but for black people, having a criminal record is a very huge impediment to getting meaningful employment. Almost impossible to get meaningful employment. Almost impossible. I know some of the jobs I had, you had to have I mean, I worked in the U.S. Embassy in Egypt at one time. You know, I had Egyptian staff and all that. I could have got that if I had a criminal record. You know, that's why I don't understand when people, middle-class black people say, well, they can get jobs. You know, I'm like, man, don't you know, what kind of job you got? Oh, I work with the government doing, you know.
You can't get that job with a criminal record. You don't lost your mind. There were 5.1 million security clearances issued by the government. Now, if you got a drug conviction, you would never get that clearance. In fact, when I applied for my journeyman's license and my master license for HVAC and plumbing, there were 3 questions that they asked me on the application. Number 1, have you ever been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor in any state, District of Columbia, or federal court? Number 2, have you ever had this type of license denied, suspended, or revoked by Maryland, any other state, or the District of Columbia? Fair enough. Number 3, have you been convicted or received probation before judgment of any drug offense committed after January 1st, 1991? Now, how long was 1991? How long ago was that? That's ridiculous. I think they've since changed this, but it was on there last time I applied for my master licenses in HVAC and plumbing. And yes, this hurts us.
Much recidivism comes from not the ability not to be able to support yourself through employment. A lot of people that get out here, they give you $50 when you get out of jail, okay? Now, last time I checked, $50 was a lot of money to live off for the rest of your life. You know? It probably get you a hat from the...
Still do that?
Yeah, they give you $50. Why? You want the $50? They keep it. I don't want that money. But when you get out of jail, they give you $50. And the last time I checked, with inflation, $50 is not enough money to live on for the rest of your life. You're going to have to get you a job. All right? Now, that's when we come back with having a criminal record. Nobody going to hire you if you come back talking about you done sold yellow towels or whatever. I was in jail, but it wasn't that bad. You know, I was selling a little bit of dope back in the day, you know. I'm all right there. I'll do that. You're not getting a job, all right? They're not going to hire you. Especially if you got a rap sheet like Freddie Gray's where he had several arrests for drug dealing.
And in fact, according to the Dominant Job Center in Baltimore, Maryland, Freddie Gray had stopped there several times looking for work, and they were unsuccessful in getting him meaningful employment, or any employment at all. And he told his girlfriend, I can't get a job, I have a record.
So, they say that 67.8% of people recidivate, like 3/4 of people, 2/3 of people recidivate within 3 years. Because of that reason. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of it is because they can't get a job. Some of them don't want to go back to jail. They want to find meaningful employment, but they can't. And when your lights are turned out and it's wintertime, you know, you live with your grandmother, your mama, and your lights are turned out and it's wintertime, and you're a man, you're going to step up. You know, I'm not justifying it, but some people will step up. They're going to do what they got to do, get the lights turned back on. And at the end of the day, if I get a pack, what they call a package or whatever, at the end of the day, I'm going to have money in my pocket. Because you got a dedicated customer base. You know what I'm saying? People want drugs. They do. And there's no other way to get it except illegally. Okay?
And by the way, Portugal decriminalized all their drugs.
And nobody wants to go back to what they had before that war on drug crap. It doesn't work. And they say that the addiction rates, some studies say that the addiction rates actually went down. The AIDS rates went down, etc. Because people weren't afraid, you know, they had places they could go and get treatment on demand. And get that treatment, get their drugs, whatever, get weaned off of it. And in Switzerland, they'll even, they have a place where you can have, shoot heroin or whatever. And then meanwhile, they try to get you jobs and all this kind of stuff, get you cleaned up, get you back on your feet. Here, we throw you in jail. That's a way of social cleansing. We throw you to get you out of the way. People that are not needed, the undesirables. Social cleansing, okay?
According to Noam Chomsky,
the noted intellectual. Okay, next screen. Okay, we need a Marshall Plan. The damage has been done. All right, we need to reverse. We need to stop digging. Stop digging the hole. You know, we know that this doesn't work. We know it's bad for us. We gotta get as many people we can to realize this. Otherwise, we're doomed. Because if we keep digging this hole, like I said, pretty soon you can't have 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 black people being incarcerated before they die. That's what the stats show if this trend continues. We can't have that. The next thing is internment camp.
And as we know, we would never have internment camps in this country. Just ask your Japanese American friends and your Native American friends.
All right, nobody's gonna escape this. If you got 4 black males in your family or 3 black males in your family, that's all right for one of them to go to jail? That's insane. So, and like I said, the war on drugs is a major tool to get it done, get the job done. Even you have to plant the drugs. All right, as we see. Okay. And I said everybody get arrested for drugs they have planted on, but a lot of people have. Because they can't prove nothing. Because when the police walk into that courthouse, what that police says is the truth. They don't care about what you're saying. They're not going to believe you. All right? In a lot of cases, unless you have a very strong case like my man.
Unless you have a clean criminal record like Charles, who never even had a record for even spitting on the sidewalk. You could imagine if he had a criminal record, all those charges would have stuck, and no one would have listened to him.
We need to make it impossible to make a living selling drugs. That's the only way. Take all the incentive out, all the monetary incentive out. Otherwise, we continue. Now, we need to still enforce laws about people bringing drug addiction coming into the country. That's where the focus needs to be. Because I am against drugs. But as far as these people on the street, you need to end it. You need to have people go have some places act. Sometimes they just want to clean up.
And they have nowhere to go to get treatment on demand.
There's innovative ways that are coming out. And I think we need to look at some of these innovative ways, like take out implants they can put into you now, and it's experimental. They take away the craving for heroin. Okay, they want to give us methadone to keep us high. To me that's not good. I want to see those implants in black communities too. So things like that, innovative things that get people off drugs, they exist. We need to put the former drug dealers back to work in meaningful family-sustaining jobs. It costs about $40,000 a year to house an inmate. In some places, $60,000. Pay somebody's salary with that. It's not a bad salary, $60,000 for a lot of people. Especially if they work in a warehouse, making $30,000, they're willing to do that to get out of that life. But the system keeps trying to lure them back in, reel them back in. Okay, next screen. Okay. In summary, what's the summary screen? Okay. There were about 200,000 people in jail when the war on drugs started. Okay? There's 2.3 million people in jail now. You see how well that works? And now even drugs are more readily available now. Than they were back then. It's hard to get drugs back before the war on drugs started. Now it's very easy. And it's higher quality and everything else. So it hasn't worked. It's never going to work. We keep trying this nonsense. The only thing it's doing is working for what it was intended to do. Right? It ain't working for nothing else. It was intended to hurt black people, the black community. It destroyed the black community. We don't have a community in the city for the most part, like we had back in the day. Remember the clean block and all that stuff we used to have? Remember the clean block competitions and all that stuff we had? That stuff don't exist no more. Nobody cares about their community. Okay, right. There are more drugs being sold now, more addicts, more prisoners as a result of war on drugs. And the drugs are much easier to get than they ever were.
According to Noam Chomsky.
Noted historian and social intellectual, the war on drugs is nothing more than social cleansing to get rid of undesirables. Black male. Who could no longer be used for their intended purpose. Now the official Jim Crow. Official Jim Crow and slavery has ended. Okay? They got no more. We're obsolete. Black males are obsolete. Slavery's over. Official Jim Crow's over. Got new Jim Crow now, of course, with the war on drugs. Mass incarceration. Because if you read the 13th Amendment, everybody knows the 13th Amendment say, right? Slavery is prohibited, except as punishment for a crime. That's why we did. The other thing we need to do is get rid of these for proper prison. Get rid of them. There should be no incentive to enslave people in this country, and that's what it amounts to. It's all about greed. That's why they send jobs overseas to places like China and India for slave labor. Okay, they don't want to pay you a fair wage. People are just greedy. You find somebody that's a billionaire, you got $1 billion, he wants $2 billion. Somebody $2 billion wants $3 billion. Right? Donald Trump wanted to be president. Okay. No, but people aren't satisfied. They're greedy. So, and then we already went over the stats. Studies have shown that if the current trend continues, 1 in 3 to 1 in 4 black males born today will be incarcerated. Bernie Sanders, a Jew, a Jewish guy. I got nothing against Jews. I consider him white. A lot of us consider him. I saw him as a white man to me, but he's Jewish. He says that this is unacceptable to him, and it should be unacceptable to all of us, especially black people. It could lead to internment camps, even destabilization of the country. It's bad for the country too. Not just black people, it's bad for the country.
This is why we have been having all these riots. People are fed up with feeling like they're living in a police state where they have very few rights and plenty of harassment from the authorities.
When Freddie Gray was killed, they were looking for drugs. They weren't looking to see if he had, apples and oranges in his pocket. They looked for drugs. People don't get the connection. That causes what? A riot. over drugs. The war on drugs caused that riot.
That's one of the things we never talk about. Everybody talks about how Ronald Reagan brought down the wall.
Right.
But you don't talk about how the Soviet Union part of the collapse was mass incarceration.
Yeah.
They destroyed their economy.
Exactly. Mass incarceration, Kenneth, like Kenneth said, mass incarceration actually destroyed the Soviet Union. That was one of the main things that led to their utter destruction. And it can destroy us too. But we're not very careful with this. We think we're getting rid of people or socially cleansing our society of people that are undesirable, they're in our way, or whatever. We don't want to compete with them in the job market. Now the civil rights movement is over. Why compete with these people? We put them in jail, give them a record, and we tell them, instead of telling them we don't want to hire you because you're black, we don't want to hire you. We can't hire you because you got a criminal record. We can't do that. You know, you can't do that. You got a criminal record. Sounds fair, though. And I've had black people tell me, well, they shouldn't have smoked that bomb in front of the police, or, you know, stupid stuff like I had black people, middle class black people, intelligent, supposedly intelligent black college educated, tell me this stuff. They shouldn't have smoked the bomb. You know, they shouldn't have committed the rob, you know. So I'm telling you, this thing's got to stop. But our biggest enemy is our lack of knowledge, our ignorance about this type of stuff. And it's very hard to explain this stuff to people. That's why, you know, that's one of the main reasons for my radio show. When I had the radio show, was I was trying to get people in the frame of mind that something's going on here. Now, the smart people already know something's going on. They just, sometimes they can't articulate it just right, but they know there's something that just ain't right with the way things are being done. As far as law enforcement, mass incarceration, all this other stuff. And it's not just, you know, it's more to it than just don't commit any crimes, you ain't worry about it. All right?
We don't sell any more drugs than white people, and we don't use any more drugs than white people. We certainly don't use any more than they do.
But we're certainly the bulk of the people in prison for drug. We're the majority of people in prison for drugs. Black people, people of color. So how you figure that out? They got to be targeting us. You know, it might sound like a conspiracy, but the reality is that they are targeting us. The stats bear out. Okay. Also, this is so serious. A study shows that affluent whites are less likely than poor whites to be arrested. All right, the studies show that affluent blacks are less likely than poor blacks to be arrested. But affluent blacks are more likely than poor whites to be arrested for the same crimes. Okay, so yeah, no, it's not fair. It ain't gonna never be fair. It got nothing to do with, because some people have told me, oh well, it's all about class now. It's not about race. No. It's about race, because the stats show that. If it was about class, that means that affluent blacks should have less of a chance of being arrested for the same crimes than a poor white person. It was just about class, so it's got to be. There is a racial element to it. You can't deny it. People that are uninformed, they think, oh, you know, we need to just have businesses. We do need to have business. I agree with that. And it'd be all over. No, it's about this, getting us out of the way. It's about social cleansing, either by accident or on purpose. It's real. Okay? And I'm not saying that all white people are trying to do this to us, but I've certainly, you know, and some people say, oh, so I had a person call my radio show and say, well, so you trying to tell me white people are sitting around planning all this stuff? I said, and I was thinking, I didn't want to say what I already knew because he would thought I was insane. But I was thinking, yeah, and their names are Ehrlichman, Nixon, and Haldeman. Okay, so yeah, they are. But he would have got that. He was, because we don't bother researching stuff. You know, we better worry about what's the next episode of Empire, or what they were doing in Empire, or Power, or what Beyonce is doing, and you know, J-Lo. That's more important than our survival. Okay, and we gotta snap out of that before it's too late. We'll be in a lot of trouble. Okay, so let's go to the next screen. And in closing, we got a DOJ report. Gore sent me a 124-page report. So we're not going to do all that drama. And it was very, very, I got the article right here, as a matter of fact. And this is what was on the front page of Sunday, right after the report came out. Okay. A damning report. Now, when you put damn on the newspaper, you know something wrong. A damning report. That's what it says. And it's really bad. They got the mayor sitting up there looking all stupid like she didn't know what was going on. I mean, these black politicians are like, we got to do something. Yeah, right. You just find out this going on. You got me, really? That's what I mean. Politicians ain't going to do about it because I hate to say it, they've been a lot of them have been. I don't want to say sold out because it's so cliche, but sold out. They're controlled by the white power structure. To put it bluntly, okay. And I ain't got nothing against white people, but I do.
But it's a system.
It's a system. Yeah, they control everything. I'm sorry, they have most of the wealth and everything else. You know, that's the way it is.
Just real quick.
Yes.
Like on that note, when I first started working, I worked with a guy.
Speak up. Come over here.
Guy from,
can he hear him?
He was an engineer, and he worked in.
You gotta speak to the mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. I worked with a guy. He was an engineer. He worked in South Africa during apartheid.
Right.
Apartheid ended. He came back to the U.S. So I had a conversation with him. One of the things he talked about was one of the reasons that he said that apartheid was a good thing is because they had their stuff, we had our stuff. And I said to him, well, what if you were on the other side of the fence? And he was like, well, then I would just be happy with what they had. And I was like, so what's your issue with apartheid? And he said, well, there are only so many doctors. This is literally what he said to me. He said, there are only so many doctor jobs over there. He's like, my maid, her son's going to want to be a doctor now. So that's going to take a job from my son. So that whole thing you're talking about removing certain elements, he had a structure in place that made sure that was in place. And now we have a structure today. I mean, I remember when I was in college, I was protesting apartheid. Like, we were wearing shirts and doing everything we could to protest apartheid. Now we have a system that is designed to create an apartheid system where you can remove a large segment of...
It already exists. Go ahead.
You can remove a large segment of the population out of competition. You can move them out of the resource pool.
That's what that does.
That's exactly what that does, and we're not protesting it. But yet we protested for other countries where it was, blatant and obvious. And it's blatant and obvious here. It's just that we ain't doing nothing about it, We're just letting it happen right now.
We're just letting it happen because we're ignorant. And if you watch, I don't want to call anybody ignorant, but because people get offended, they shut you out. But in a way, ignorant just means to ignore. I mean, you just ignore. Basically, that's the root word of ignorant. Ignore. This stuff's going on, but we don't want to know. We basically, a lot of black people, and I want to say this again, but a lot of black people that I know, they actually get mad at you for telling them this stuff. Like, look, I made it. I got what's wrong with these people? Why can't they do what I did? I said, and I would say to them because for a lot of them it's too late.
And then we also have to understand too. Yeah, you have the segment that does not understand.
Right.
Okay, but then we have a group that are going to be affluent by any means necessary. That means they don't care about it. So you got the group that ignores, and you also have the group that does not care.
Right. You talk the groups of black people that don't care.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I know that. I know they're comfortable.
I am in the place to have what I need. So yeah.
I agree. There are black people like that are very affluent. Mm-hmm. They don't care about you. And that goes back to I hate to say this, so cliche. It goes back to slavery. They were black people that owned slaves. Okay, so there's always been black people that benefit from the suffering of other black people. Okay, and then put it in terms of what people that go to movies can understand. If you saw Django and the character that was played by Samuel Jackson, not Morgan Freeman, that was the black guy to use. The other black guy to use that movie. But Samuel Jackson, I can really say that too, by the way. But Samuel Jackson, that character, that was very real. They always had somebody that would whip you worse than any white man would do. And a lot of times they use black men to whip other black men. Yeah. So, and then a lot of times a lot of the revolts, the slavery revolts were broke up by people that snitched. They went to the master and told them what was going on. So that actually helped us stay in slavery longer than what was necessary. The fact that some black folks just won't stand up for black people. I'm sorry.
One of the things that you said that was very important that can't be ignored is that there's also another group of people that absolutely believe that what we're doing is the right thing. I mean, they don't have any malice towards us. They don't have.
They can be white people, yeah. White people feel like
there are black people that feel like drugs. I saw what drugs did to somebody. It's absolutely evil. We have to. The war on drugs is the only way to approach this, and they're approaching it from their perception of reality. So you have to shift their reality to say, yes, drugs are bad, but we should be trying to cure the ailment of drugs and not punish people for being sick. And that's what we have to shift them towards, because right now they're so focused on it's evil and we have to punish the evildoers.
We do whatever it takes to punish. Yeah. And the thing about war, and that's why it's important that black officers, involved in it. What I want people to understand is that a large number of police officers are veterans. When I was in the National Guard and the reserves, a large number of those military members were police officers in their regular civilian lives. And a lot of them have been to war and places like Afghanistan and Iraq. So this plays a major role in the militarization of police departments across the nation. If you notice the uprising in Ferguson or the protests in Ferguson, those peaceful protesters were met with tanks and war machinery that were obtained due to the number of arrests that were made due to the war on drugs. And the federal government incentivized this by rewarding them with this equipment. The thing about war is, a lot of the way we fight war, the United States fights war, is we want to dominate. We have a take no prisoners approach to war. We don't, And when a total annihilation, that was the Hiroshima bomb. From that to now, our thing is, and I remember sitting in ILE, and they said, "Does the United States Army want a fair fight?" And I said, "No." And then everybody said, "Yes, we want a fair fight." I said, "No." And then she said, "Why would you say that?" She was this female colonel. And I said, "We want to dominate." And she said, "You're correct. That's the correct answer." Everybody else was saying, but that's the way, it's true. The United States Army wants to dominate. We want to bring more to the battlefield than they can possibly put out. And we want to bring it down hard on them. And what we want to do is, in a lot of cases, what we do what's called fixing. What's called fixing. You know what fixing is, right, Hall?
Yep.
What's fixing?
Basically, you basically keep the enemy down. So if you're gonna bring other sources.
Infantry officer, go ahead.
To bring other sources on them to basically stop their will to fight. Stop their will.
It's combat infantry officer. Okay, that's what fixing is. And the nearest fixing is what you want to do is you want to challenge your enemy to a certain time and location, the way you bring all your forces to bear down on it and lead to utter destruction. That's what the war on drugs has been used to do to us. We let our adversaries do that. I'm not saying all white people hate black people. There are certainly some that do, and it's been proven. All right.
And you got the psyops.
That's where I was just thinking.
I'm sorry. Explain the psyops.
Well, she can go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Good.
The fact that you want to win the mind,
the hearts and minds,
war on drugs, will make the
hearts and minds,
person think, oh, I want to be on that side.
Right.
But they're not keeping up.
Excellent. I'm glad you brought that up. Another aspect to war, and that's why I say it's important. Officers can understand this. Another aspect of war is that you want to win the hearts and minds of people. You want to win them over to your side. And so you use propaganda, whatever, leaflets or whatever you use to get the population to accept what you're doing, even if it's wrong. And once you get to win the hearts and minds, you almost won the battle.
Yeah, and not to take it off the topic, but that's exactly what's happening now with the election. It's total psyops. I'm sitting here saying,
psyops.
Gee, is this not psyops? Right here.
Right.
Not in another country where we're saying we go over and...
Right. But I don't want to get too political.
No, I don't want to go there.
People will shut you out. They think you start talking Democrat. I don't want to get... What I'm talking about is this stuff is wrong. What they're doing to us is wrong. No matter who's the president. No matter who the president is. Obama's president now. You know what I'm saying? No matter who the president is.
Because
go ahead.
Because you actually...
It's in there.
You actually have the world... you actually have the black man demonized by the world. So the world as a whole will not even step up and actually say, hey, this
Bring
is
that
wrong.
quote up from Holden.
We already have been demonized off the world, So if they want to beat us, they want to shoot us, they want to kick us down, they want to throw us in jail. The world is looking at it like, well, he deserved it.
Yeah.
But
right. We look at it right because they won the hearts and minds.
Exactly.
Exactly what we're talking about. That's a military.
We aren't demons. They got
right. They got us thinking we're demons, and we think that because they won the hearts and minds through the propaganda. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that was one of the things that Nixon was saying that John Irvin said when they were talking about the war on drugs. And when you bring that quote up, please bring it up. And I'll explain it to you. That was part of the psyops part was actually a part of the quote, and I'll show you how in a minute. As soon as he brings that up.
Well, also, if no more than the think, then the mindset to be, if they would stop selling drugs, if they would stop doing this, if they would stop doing that, then we could all be comfortable.
Right.
We could get along.
Oh yeah, right. And they would like us. They would like us now. This is John Ehrlichman, who was a White House aide to Nixon. He was Nixon's aide. He went to jail with Nixon, by the way, for Watergate conspiracy, a real conspiracy. Okay. And people that don't think Nixon's capable of conspiracies, he left office because they were about to impeach him for one. Okay, and you'll probably use the N-word in conversation, in official conversations. Okay, so he was a racist, in my opinion. You might not think he was. Okay, Sammy Davis might not. Okay, the Nixon campaign. This is a quote by Ehrlichman. John Ehrlichman said it, not me. This is not Tyrone. In the Nixon campaign in 1968, in the Nixon White House after that had two enemies: the anti-war left and black people. Former Nixon. Now, white people have people that will throw away. Even white people like this, they have people that they will actually throw away. The people that they don't really care about, the hippies and stuff like that, they don't care about the people, you know. And they call them trash and everything else. Y'all heard those terms before. I don't use them, but y'all have heard them. They had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. Former Nixon domestic policy chief John Ehrlichman told Harvard, You understand what I'm saying? This is back to the quote. We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black. But by getting the public to associate hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. Ehrlichman said, we could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Did we know we were lying about the drugs? Of course we did. Okay? Now, here's the silent part. Vilify them night after night on the evening news. And one of Nixon's staffers, Roger Ailes, became he started running Fox News, okay? And then when he first talked about anything like Fox News, he was telling Nixon, we can actually do GOP, which is Grand Old Party, the Republican Party, on the news. That was his brainchild, and that's what they're doing. And they use that, again, psyops, with the hearts and minds. Vilify them night after night on the evening news.
If you want to be generous and assume that there's not deep-seated racism and hate at the motivation of this, a lot of this motivation is because they want to win elections.
Right. No, I agree. I think it's probably.
I want to win.
Right. I think it's more politics than anything else. And Nixon politics is.
And I get ready to say, see, sometimes if
it don't have to be.
Someone has to understand where it starts from. So, just to go to someone and say, hey, Nixon's enemies was the anti-war left and black people, then they say, oh, okay, so here you go. You're going to tell me this. But what they need to understand.
Some black people never believe this.
Well, they need to understand what started.
Like, why would Nixon start the war?
Well, go back.
Why would y'all hurt black people that?
Because then they don't understand the history of Nixon and the Kennedy election.
Right. And how Nixon was. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. That's why he was.
Well,
even his quote, his family members will argue that he was not a racist. He's never said a bad, but that's not relevant because whether he was a racist or not, he used racism to win elections.
And whether this happened or not, the war on drugs still hurts black people.
Right.
So you ain't going there.
That's what I'm saying. The motivation at this point is not. It's like if you shoot at me, I don't really care if you shot at me because you hated me or because you thought I was somebody else. The point is, I need you to stop shooting at me.
And that's what actually point.
How politically, if you think about the two major parties that we have here, how did it, at one time blacks wind up voting Republican in the days of Nixon and wind up switching over? Well, people don't understand that when Martin Luther King was arrested, and the first one that was able to get him out was
the Kennedys.
The Kennedys.
Yeah.
So, of course, now the Kennedys became the friend of black people. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, whatever the relationship was that Nixon had with Dr. Martin Luther King.
But it goes deeper than that. Mm-hmm. After the Civil War, blacks were Republicans because I'm gonna get to that. Blacks were Republicans because it was the party of Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was
exactly.
That's why we were Republicans for the most part. Now, what happened was, you say it was correct. That Nixon actually tried to get Dr. King out of jail, but he was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
But the Kennedys actually succeeded in doing it, and they took credit for it. And then even Dr. King said, "Well, if it wasn't for John Kennedy and the Kennedys, I'd be still in jail." And King said that. Everybody, black people, like, he got my vote. But let me finish. Now, I'll get you something. Let me finish. Then the seal of the deal. When Johnson came out with the 1964 Civil Rights, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and got that passed, the Dixiecrats, the Southern racist Democrats, they left the Democratic Party in droves, and that became the new Republican Party.
Yeah.
And that's the history behind that stuff. But still, we got this war on drugs, regardless of who's in the Democratic.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to somebody's gonna be president next time around. It's gonna be a Republican or a Democrat, but we still got this issue to deal with.
Oh, sure.
And one of them needs to deal with it.
We are not anti-law enforcement, but we must first understand that the police posture induced by the holy grail of the war on drugs and mass incarceration is to search you and to search your car to get the evidence to nail you with, or even possibly to the extremely rare instance of actually planting drugs on you, and there are numerous documented cases of law enforcement officers planting evidence. This has led not just to a weakening of the Fourth Amendment, but actual violations of Americans' Fourth Amendment rights, constitutional rights, and human rights, and will continue as long as the war on drugs is in effect. And local police departments are incentivized to do so by receipt of federal funds, military equipment, etc., for the number of arrests made.
As history has shown us, freedom and rights have only been gained through courage. The only way you will give up your rights once they're gained is that someone must first convince you that they will make you safe if you give those rights up. Once they convince you that giving up your rights will make you safe, you will give those rights up. We have lost a lot of our rights through the war on drugs and the resulting mass incarceration. Mass incarceration will never make us safe. Having large segments of the population involved in illegal activity to make money informs the culture, and it also informs the culture of the police department in negative ways. People who have been imprisoned and criminalized to the point where they have criminal records that are impediments to getting meaningful work will be released into society one day as more dangerous and better criminals. Mass incarceration will only make us less safe, not more. It will never make us safe. Let's end it.